3G1B podcast coming at you with another one. Thank you, Taylor. Okay, we do have some breaking news, but before I get into that, please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, SoundCloud, and I think that's all we got right now, guys. I haven't uploaded anything else to anything at this moment, but okay, we do have breaking news. Remember, 3g1b.pc@gmail.com if you want to send us some fan mail or whatever you want. We do have breaking news, like I just said. Sean, tell us what is the breaking news.
Well, I guess Silencer Shop is going to be refunding a few people's money and fingerprints after the ATF is kicking back everybody's Form 1 that was done on their behalf back in April. So, might be on to look into that if you did any Form 1s recently through Silencer Shop.
Yeah, that sounds like some omega level bullshit.
So you know what the reason for the Form 1s were, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it yourself, and the Silencer Shop was selling their at-home kit.
Well, yeah, they're selling the at-home kits. It's kind of like when you buy a suppressor or something through Silencer Shop, and that you pay them the $200 and they pay it on your behalf.
Yep.
Well, they were trying to do the whole turnkey process for the Form 1 do-it-yourself silencers. Yeah.
And that's definitely caused a little hiccup for them. But, I mean, they seem to be taking care of everybody. They're saying if you're going to go back and redo it, they're covering the cost of your fingerprints and everything else. Oh, wow. So, and also, of course, refunding your $200. So, I mean, they're not just leaving everybody out to dry, but if you've been waiting since April, get ready to start over again.
You know, and I like Silencer Shop. From what I've seen, they've really streamlined.
Yeah, I mean, we both dealt with them. I've got no complaint.
I mean, you go to a gun shop or somebody that's a Silencer Shop partner, more or less,
dealer,
and they have like a kiosk where you do your fingerprints, your pictures, and everything. I mean, it's pretty much turnkey.
Yeah.
You know,
they're really utilizing the new technology.
Yeah.
To expedite that process, because it was a very long and arduous process because you had to send your paperwork.
And confusing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they want it to be confusing.
Yeah.
Because they don't want people to actually have this stuff. So, to clarify for me, because I'm a little misled, it is not like silencers that they made that you bought. It's like home built silencers. Like if I wanted to build a silencer and they're helping me file, but technically since
they sell it,
they were selling the kit. So your what would you call their solvent trap, whatever you want to call it,
undrilled,
undrilled silencer. You could get the package for them at a good price, and then take it home. Submit your paperwork with them, then drill it out.
Right,
but
wait
for it to get done, and then drill it out after everything came back. But they were, one-stop shop, and if you didn't want to drop $400 on a suppressor and another $200 on your stamp, you could buy that for $100 and then $200 stamp, and you're done. It was just a cheaper, and I mean Form 1s e-file come back in 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Versus Taylor and I through Silencer Shop have trust set up, and 12, 13 months later,
But it is a more, I guess, easier thing. You don't have to do any of the work.
It is.
Yourself.
It's a smooth
You don't
process.
have to fill out as anybody that probably does their own taxes would know, the government just loves to make things complicated. But I will say that there are several good YouTube videos out there that will take you step by step on what you need to do and what you need to fill out and how you need to fill it out.
Well, yeah, and Silencer Shop, I mean, you just think of them like, the TurboTax of your taxes.
That's
your silencer.
I
mean, you jump online, check a few boxes, fill in the blank, and you're done.
Well, I've only even seen one at our local gun shop here, Superior. I've only seen it at Superior, and they've pretty much got it streamlined where you just go in on an iPad and you tap and put on your information and stuff like that.
Danny over at Full Mag, he does, I think he does a fantastic job, because when you go in there, he takes care of all of your trust paperwork and actually setting it up, through the lawyer and everything. It's $100 and you're done. And then you jump on his Silencer Shop, kiosk right there, and maybe an hour, you're fingerprinted, you're pictured, everything's filled out for the trust, and you get an email the next day, and
And then it was before the advent of stuff like that. You had to go get your
you go to the local sheriff and get your picture and get your fingerprinted there and everything else.
things are getting more streamlined, but I feel like actually this is a very relevant topic. I sent you the video the other day of how Game Theory did a breakdown of suppressors in The Last of Us.
Right.
And I feel stuff like that, even though it's cursory to this conversation, will get real people to understand that suppressors are not Hollywood quiet. They do not do what they do in the movies.
No.
Like it looks like that they do. They are not 100% quiet. They are incredibly loud. You will know. It's not like a video game. It's not like a movie where I could be sitting 2 feet from you and you hear this and just not know what's going on.
I mean, you got to do things to have the Hollywood quiet. You got to
it's extremely expensive. Yeah, the gun needs to be custom built, and then
there's different
custom
things.
loaded ammo.
Yeah,
I mean
there's a lot of testing. Velocities. There's also just tinkering with like on an AR, especially like there's like the silent capture springs or the piston sets for the buffer tube,
and you'd have to do something where that bolt doesn't slide open. If you got a semi-automatic, forget about it. It's not going to happen. It's you're just getting to the point where you're hearing safe. I don't have to take earmuffs or earplugs with me, and I can go shoot this, and it's just a regular volume where
Well, and even then, the sonic boom of the round going off can still damage your hearing.
Well, if you're shooting subsonic,
you're shooting subsonic,
I'm just saying because you're going at supersonic and even transonic speed, and it's breaking the sound barrier, and that's part of the big noise of it. Is not even the initial powder going off; it's the round breaking the sound barrier, and then the action itself moving back and forth. Game Theory does a great breakdown of that whole process. Probably if you want to understand suppressors in a fun way, that's not a non-political way, that's not showing you something to scare you. That was a wonderful video on how it all works, what the process is, how the mechanics go off. He did not skip not one thing. The only thing he said at the beginning was he had the argument of silencers versus suppressors. The original patent calls it a silencer.
Yeah.
We know it today as a suppressor because the language makes more sense to call it a suppressor, but the actual device name in the original patent, who ironically
is
Maxim's brother.
No, Maxim, not his brother.
No, it was him.
Was also nicknamed the Hush Puppy in some different military units because they'd use it to take out animals that were maybe barking or anything like that.
Right, like sentry animals. Yeah, like I think they had a.
Historical standing aside, I could very well be wrong. I'm not going to look at that while we're in the middle of a podcast. I'll believe Taylor. I think that you're right, to be honest. It was either Maxim or his brother. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do think it was Maxim because they were talking about how he patented the machine gun. It goes through that entire thing in that video with Game Theory. So I would definitely check that out. Okay, so to reiterate, if you have done a kind of a home-built silencer shop deal, you really need to get on it and see what's going on with that, because I'd call them immediately and see where your status is and what's going on. Always
the sooner
remember,
you start over, the sooner you get what you were after.
The ATF is just a motherfucker, boys. That's all I can tell you. Hopefully the NFA will be destroyed within our lifetime, but
I wouldn't hold your breath.
I wouldn't hold my breath either.
I had high hopes for the Hearing Protection Act. I think that was something good, and I don't really see any drawbacks to the suppressor. It's not, like you said, Hollywood quiet. It's not going to prevent anybody from knowing that a gun just went off. But it's going to keep you from damaging your hearing, especially if you're an avid shooter that goes out every weekend.
Right. Another thing that happened today, or not today, but earlier this week, last week, is I think they lifted the restrictions on U.S. manufacturers exporting.
You can export now, so
Yankee
Hill and everybody else.
What that means, I believe, is they can export to, different countries. That may make the prices of suppressors actually go down for us.
Yeah, it's going to allow a lot more R&D to be done, and that cost distributed out.
If they're exporting to other countries, that's going to mean that they're making more volume, and they can
absolutely.
export and might drive the cost down for us.
Well, that's competition. I mean, if you're competing, I mean, how it's like everything else in manufacturing. China, we're everybody's competing on a global level with China.
If a U.S. company, I don't know if China's making suppressors for the European market, but
probably
they're making them for the Wish market in the United States. But like, if you can't, if you're just selling your product in the United States, that's one thing. You probably got a price point. Your manufacturing is limited based on, how many you can make a year because
And it's hard to expand that out. Whereas when you're selling globally, you can afford to take the risk of more machining, more employees, and everything else.
That means price goes down.
And that means easier, and you're not having that wait time. Right now, I know if you try to get a Thunder Beast or something like that, you've got at least an 8-week wait to get a serial number so you can start your whole process.
Right. Well, like in these other European countries, I know they're not a regulated item. I mean, you can go to the store and buy a suppressor.
Well, I was going to bring up that point after you got through talking, because it is literally like they say,
it's night and day.
It is night and day as far as that goes, but it's considered rude if you don't have one on the end of it, because the guns are so loud,
right?
And they consider that to be, faux pas, I guess. And I don't know if they're not registered, but their laws are a lot different.
Their regulations a lot more lax. It'd be like
again on suppressors, but they have a lot more regulations on the gun itself.
Yeah, but I think to get a suppressor is about like adding a scope onto your rifle. Some countries
you just do it. It's natural. Especially okay. So we go to a gun range, and obviously there's neighbors around the gun range, and they'll tell you some of them complain. If everybody out there had a can because it was only, $300, the cost of a low-end scope to quiet your gun down, I think the neighbors would appreciate it too. It would go a long ways.
And discretion, if you want, if you got a neighbor that's maybe a half a mile away from your house, and let's say he's anti-gun, he doesn't like the fact that you have this. Well, in that circumstance, it might be better that he just not know.
That
he can't hear it from half a mile away.
What I would say to that? Fuck them.
I know, but we all have to live together. So I get it. Trust me, people are sticks in the mud about this kind of thing, and they can't do it. If I heard somebody shooting, as long as it wasn't at midnight and I'm trying to shoot, I really could give a shit less what you're doing. But some people have a problem with it. Life, liberty for everybody.
Right.
I would just rather them not be able to know what I'm doing and what I got and stuff, and them to be living off in their own little fantasy land where they believe whatever's whatever.
It's hot. It's East Texas. When we go shooting, we want to go in the morning.
Right. No.
Maybe you don't want to hear a gun going off next door to you.
Right.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense to me.
But the public,
let everybody have them.
The public is just brainwashed.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just ignorance on the fact they don't know. They haven't used it. They haven't been around one. They haven't shot one. They don't know exactly what it is that it does, and then they just see somebody on TV talking about this is a, 30 caliber ghost gun that shoots, I mean
300 round clips a second.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I said, it's
that's
just
basically
one of those
the
things.
point that I was trying to make, and you said it, but it is sort of Hollywooded. Everything in video games in Hollywood is for entertainment purposes. Very rarely does something actually equivalent to real life. There's actually a theory that's called where you see some information that you're not completely known about, that you're like you don't completely understand, and you're like, oh well, I don't understand that, so I'm kind of going to believe it because you're telling me. Now the same thing can happen with a subject you do understand. Let's talk about manufacturing. Everybody in here knows some things about manufacturing. If a journalist was to come and tell you something about manufacturing that you absolutely knew was not true, and they wrote an article about it, and you could be like, man, this is dumb. That happens a lot with guns in the gun political industry, where you'll see that whole meme of the guy shooting the gun, and he's like, "Oh, it's so
It was
horrible.
traumatizing.
It was traumatizing."
Yes.
And then they put out the infographic that everybody made fun of the blue AR-15, where they strapped literally chainsaws to it and things.
And
like
then you
that.
have the 10-year-old girl sitting there shooting it, smiling, having
Yeah.
the best time of her life. Well,
So we can see that that's dumb, but if you have no idea
you don't
what
know.
you're looking at, you're more
Well, that's
apt
what it
to,
is. You don't know what you're looking at.
yeah, you're more apt to believe it. So there's this dichotomy of like information we do know and information we don't know, and we tend to just believe what we're told when we rarely don't know about it. Taylor, you really like want to say something?
Oh no, I'm just listening.
Taylor, you look a little tired. What have you been doing today, man?
Painting.
Oh, how's that going for you?
Oh no,
You want to shoot the cabinets?
no.
Oh.
Well, we've been.
You know, if they have holes in them, you can see what's in the cabinet without opening the door.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But-
Something to think about.
A free window.
I don't know if you'll sell the wife on it, but
No way. And if you ever use Kills products, you know they live up to their name. It's some potent primer paint.
So you're telling us you're high.
that's what I'm hearing.
No, I'm not. I think we had adequate ventilation throughout the house.
Oh, were the doors open?
Asterisk adequate ventilation.
Really? In this Texas heat, you had your doors open
Yes.
all day today. I don't
Yes.
buy it. Do you buy Zach?
I tried not to.
I'm buying for a friend.
Yeah, I didn't like. I had a dilemma of turning my air on or off. So
Oh, well, yeah. See, now it's in the ducts, and so you're gonna smell that for like 2 more weeks. Change your air
I
filter.
don't care. It don't bother me.
No. Well,
No,
do you
last-
pay extra for that?
No, last 3 brain cells I got, they're pretty stout.
Yeah. I mean, if they made it this long.
They're
Yeah.
so resilient.
They are.
They're just chucking along.
They're just bouncing
Little
around. in my head.
soldiers.
Well, Zach, you had a topic today, didn't you?
Okay,
Something
yes,
to try
I know.
to get everybody rounded back.
That
up
was
there real
breaking
quick.
news. That was breaking news. I feel like when we came in and seen that was a very on-topic thing. We haven't really discussed suppressors yet. But I really wanted to talk about, I popped into my head the other day, the 40 Smith & Wesson. Is it dead? Do y'all have an opinion on that? I've got some information and research that I've been doing. I just Googled this because I got really curious. I had actually seen one of the YouTubers make a comment on 40 Smith & Wesson, and I screenshotted what he said.
Well, while he's looking for that, I mean, we went to the range talking about the 40 on that. I didn't bring one because I don't have one, you know?
See, I guess that's more of my point, is we will talk about our range time here in a second, but it was the VSO Gun Channel, and he wrote, "I am a fairly forgiving person that can be pretty easy to get along with. Play games with freedom and you are dead to me. I am on the record telling Springfield to go someplace where they released their palm pussy last year." And if y'all don't know, Springfield did sort of the community dirty back in the day, but I don't know if we're gonna let them live that down or not. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, this was in response to somebody that had talked about one of a Springfield 40 XD. The commenter says, "Absolutely fun times," referring to VSO's video. "I like the video so much, I would like to see you guys trying it in the 40. The Springfield XD in 40. Sorry," he says. 2 problems with that request. 1, 40 Smith & Wesson is a gimmick conjured to increase sales. The caliber has sunset. 2, Trader brands have no place here. If Springfield called me and offered me a gun, the ammo, and a sack full of money, I would tell them to get fucked. I don't know if he really likes Springfield, but that really got my brain thinking like, well, is 40 Smith & Wesson dead? I really want to know. I haven't thought about this question in a long time. I tell my dad all the time who got one of those SVDs that you were talking about before the podcast. He got one, and through the trials and tribulations of life, he ended up selling it, but then he recently rebought it because it's so good. And I tried to tell him that, Dad, the 40 Smith & Wesson is dying. You know, the whole meme of it's dead, it's dying, it's going everywhere is turning away from it. You see agencies like the FBI, cops, and other police forces just turning their nose up at it and going towards 9mm. So I really wanted to pose the question, is 40 dead? And Sean, you had an actual argument you wanted to say, or something that you wanted to speak on that. So I'm going to let you have it.
I was saying, I don't have one. I've never really felt drawn to go buy one for any particular reason. Taylor, you don't have one, do you? Have you owned one?
No, I do. I've shot 40 before.
A couple times, yeah.
I don't know what between 40 and 9. I don't know what the
difference
benefit is.
And that's my argument there, because you've got people that go, oh, well, it's got more knockdown than a 9. Okay. And then you got other ones that say, well, it's got less recoil than a 45. Okay, well,
or 10 millimeter.
Or 10 millimeter. I mean, the same argument that you have, that you make, that why it's better, is also the same argument on why it's not. Because while you can go, oh, well, it's got more power than a 9. Yeah, so does 45. Oh, well, it kicks less than a 45. You know, so does 9. So I think it kind of almost shoots itself in the foot. It's not great round at any particular thing. You know, if you want something that's going to stop somebody, naturally, 45 pops into your head. If you want something that's going to be manageable, 9 pops into your head. The 40 to me just doesn't have any one great feature about it.
It's a question to answer that nobody asks.
Same thing. Yeah.
Before we get going, actually, point 7, you kind of skipped ahead on like my notes, sort of.
I thought you weren't controlling us.
Okay. Well, this is just on my
throw the papers, Taylor. We're done.
This is just on my personal notes. This isn't a control fest. I read a study back in the day, I'm going to say a couple of years ago, that actually said between the major calibers, that's your 9, 357, 44 Magnum, 40, you know, pretty popular calibers that police would normally use in a police-involved shooting. 40 and 357 were the most consistent one-stop shoppers. One-shot stoppers out of all the calibers.
I thought of something. You talking about, how about, was it 45 GAP?
Okay, that actually says this at the end of one of these articles that I've referenced. It says, long story, no, the 40 Smith & Wesson is not dead. What cartridge is dead is the 45 gap.
Yeah.
That's funny that you bring that up.
Yeah,
we'll get more into that as I get down
and
to
the
this.
other 2 cartridges I know nothing about. I mean,
you also have the argument, you know, it's not a NATO round. You know, there's a lot of people out there that will only buy a caliber if it's a NATO round because they feel like, you know, it's easier to get, there's more access to it.
Right.
That actually is in the good article that I found. One of the points that he says, despite all the negative factors, 40 Smith & Wesson is far from dead. He goes in to say that because of the panic buying that we have,
it's still on the shelves.
It is more available than 9, 45, and 223 and stuff like that.
But if you're smart, you would have already had all that and had a sufficient amount for your needs.
I know you've got a lot of oddball guns that, you know, shoot oddball ammo, and I don't mind, you know, a cartridge that's not maybe as mainstream anymore. That's why I shoot a 7mm .8 and a 25-06 and, you know, things like that. But I can walk into, you know, your local Atwoods and grab a box of 25-06 or 7mm .8 still right now today. This exact minute. I can go to Academy and do that. But you won't find a box of, you know, 223 of
right. You know, I like to think of those. And I hate we're getting off topic here, but like those are like I call them your bread and butter rounds. You know, they're popular calibers and popular guns that
been around forever.
That a lot of people have. You know, 223, 7.62 x 39, 308, and its NATO equivalent.
Yeah.
I mean 9mm, 38, 357, 45. Those are kind of like your bread and butter rounds.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that the 40 just kind of, I don't know. I think it is a little bit played out. I don't think that it's one that people just run to. I almost would argue that more people would go out today and buy a 380 before they bought a 40.
The people buying a 380 are looking for something that's concealable or recoil management.
Exactly. So if you're going to go to the point to where I don't need to conceal it and, you know, recoil management isn't a problem, why wouldn't you go something 9mm, 10mm, 45? You probably got almost more people buying, you know, a circuit judge or, you know, some kind of judge revolver that shoots 45 long Colt. I just don't see a lot of people picking a particular gun in 40, and I've noticed that even some manufacturers are not offering that.
From
in
the
a new
research
pit.
I did,
Exactly,
cutting
yeah.
it back a lot.
So before, 5 years ago, where you could go, yeah, I'm going to get this Springfield XDM in 40, 45, or 9 millimeter.
Didn't a lot of police departments adopt 40?
Yes, that was
temporarily.
See, after the Miami-Dade FBI thing, where they went with 10 millimeter,
Right.
they were finding that 10 millimeter was too powerful and the rounds were too long. So all they did was basically shorten up the case, shorten up recoil, and it made it a manageable caliber for more people to be able to use, like smaller handed shooters to be able to use. But the inverse is that it's supposed to be, and I've shot a 40, I've shot my dad's 40, it's snappy.
Right.
It's very snappy. It's not unmanageable. From what I know, 45 is more consistent. It does the same thing every time you're gonna. I mean, it was more than a 9, but I'm a grown man.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not a 130-pound, woman or something getting after it, trying to hold on to it. But realistically, though, it's you could almost call the 45, and a lot of people will compare a rifle like that. Is it a push, or a quick snap, like you were saying? And I think the 45 lends itself to
it's just
push.
sort of consistent. Like it's gonna do kind of the same thing every time, and you're gonna be able to anticipate that. And from what I'm saying, 40 is snappy. It's erratic. I don't know if I'm getting off on a tangent here. It just feels bad. I don't know. I didn't like shooting the 40 when I shot it. It just didn't do the thing that I need to. 9 millimeter was easier to control. 45 is a little bit more fun, and it's a little bit easier to anticipate what's going to happen.
Yeah.
40 is kind of that, and to me, in a mid range where it's not good, but it's not bad. But that was the appeal, is that it was more powerful than a 9 millimeter, but it wasn't as harsh on recoil, in air quotes, as a 45 is, and for a while, the police were using it, and that kind of is the big contention. Whatever the FBI uses, 90% of the time, that has a downflow effect through law enforcement. And when then law enforcement start using it, that's when the civilians say, we're going to emulate what law enforcement is, because they're the ones that are on the front lines doing what they're doing and things like that. They're having to kill people. They're having to shoot people. And so they would be the ones that we would default to. And anyway, I think part of the problem is the resurgence of 10 millimeter is really coming back. You see a lot of new guns being chambered in 10 millimeter.
Revolvers in 10 millimeter.
Yes, Ruger came out with the revolver in 10
and
millimeter.
people are using the 40s to practice with, because they'll chamber in the 10 millimeter revolvers. So it's a lighter recoiling. Practice
37, 38 special, 357 and 38 special, same concept to that. Okay,
correct. Yeah,
I could get with that.
Well, some semi-automatics. Now, this is not manufacturer recommended, but a lot of the semi-automatics that are made in 10 millimeter can chamber and fire 40.
40.
It's not as powerful as a lot of the older loadings of that cartridge, because of the 40 being so downgraded. Your Buffalo bore is not the same thing as your commercially available ammo would be normal. Buffalo bore is like a hot 10 millimeter. So if your gun can shoot a 10 millimeter Buffalo bore,
you can shoot a 40.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there's a case to be made about headspace and stuff like that, but in the revolver, like Taylor said,
what does it matter?
Like, there is a moon clip that allows you to right there, 40 Smith & Wesson all day out of that 10 millimeter
What's
revolver.
I'm sure you know this. What is that British top break revolver?
Webley.
A Webley, yeah. But you can chamber it over a 45 ACP with the moon clip.
That's the older Webleys.
Yeah.
450.
I've got one, and I just totally drew a blank on it. One day I might shoot it. We'll see.
Does it take the moon clips?
It does. I have them.
So it's been machined to take the moon clips. See, because the original round was like 455 British service.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then one of the popular things when they surplused out and came to the United States was to machine recess in the cylinder.
There.
Because I think it's a Smith & Wesson 1917 pattern revolver. Takes moon clips, and it's 45 ACP caliber.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think another thing is that 45 just holds this huge nostalgia
Oh, it's got
over
a
the
cult following.
population. I mean, 100
easily.
years,
Yeah.
we joke about the boomers all the time, but there is something to be said with modern guns being chambered in that round with the nostalgia factor behind it. A lot of people, the 1911, I don't think will ever die.
No.
It's going to be an iconic gun forever.
Well, I think we all kind of got a good, hands-on.
Right.
I brought some really high-end 9s and I brought some really high-end 45s, and we all shot them. Me personally, there's not a whole lot of difference between shooting my FNX and shooting my CZ Shadow. I mean, you got a lot more weight in the CZ. You're all polymer in the FNX, but neither is bad to shoot. I don't think for any of us.
No, and it wasn't that hard to control the recoil or anything, but you got to say something for smaller shooters.
Oh,
women, even smaller men.
Because you're not gonna hold a USP, or you're not gonna hold a FNX with a small hand. They're not ergonomically designed for that.
Yes, that's a great point. With the police going back to 9mm, I just see 40 become more and more irrelevant. But like we were hinting at beyond that, right now calibers are very hard to find.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to get a hold of 9mm right now. Like go to the store and look. There is just nothing on the shelf. But I guarantee you almost all of 40 is going to be there.
I don't
Not all,
feel the need
but most.
I guess, run out and buy a 40, but I wouldn't be against it if I found a gun and it was at a good deal, be it a Sig Legion or whatever.
A lot of police trade-ins right now.
I don't know necessarily police trade-in, but if it was a gun I wanted, like the Sig Legion or something like that, or like you said, even an SDVE, in 40. I like those guns. I've had several of them. If it was the right price, I don't care what caliber it is. I'd take it in a heartbeat.
There is something to say about ergonomics, form, and things like that draw you to a certain weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I've got some reading materials from American Handgunner. This article was done by Mike Venturino, goes by Duke. So, this guy didn't impress me with his article, to say the least. I don't want to just throw him under the bus or whatever, but to me, he didn't really put a good argument. But basically, the gist of what he was saying was that the 10mm was already on the scene when the 40 was introduced in 1990, and some shooters sneered at the lesser cartridge, which they still do today, by the way. The 10mm was just too powerful for proficiently training the huge mass of Americans, law enforcement folks, who eventually transitioned to the 40 Smith & Wesson. There actually was a non-imaginary gap in semi-automatic calibers from 9 to 45, and it was filled by the 40 Smith & Wesson. So what do y'all think about that?
I think it goes back to somebody answered a question that nobody asked.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I can relate to that in the revolver area would be 327 Federal. Y'all
I've heard of the caliber. I've never shot one. I've never even seen one.
Okay, so that's kind of
That's how unpopular.
it's kind of got the recoil of a 38 special, but with the
357 power.
yeah.
So it's trying to bridge the gap between 38 specials,
Which
and
almost
357.
doesn't even exist. But realistically, and we did that, 38 special at 225 yards,
But that was
Yeah, you're lobbing them in there and having fun, and then we put a 357 in there, and you're still doing the same thing.
that's target practice. No, we're not talking
Exactly.
about defense ranges or
hunting game or
hunting game or
Yeah.
It's just kind of.
Well, we digress on that point. But this article by American Handgunner, to me, wasn't the very best. If you really want to have a fairly decent breakdown, Omaha Outdoors does a really good. His name is Andrew Tuhoy. I can't say his last name. Tuohy. Could not say that name. But he really does a good breakdown. I've got an entire paragraph, a couple paragraphs, where I've written down what he says. But to me, it would be better if you yourselves would just go read that. He ends by saying that the gap was the 45 gap is the really dead cartridge, and he's the one who gave me my points of how, with the pandemic going on, with panic buying up and down, 40 Smith & Wesson is not as susceptible as a 9mm or 45 is, because it's just popular enough to keep on the shelf, but it's just niche enough nowadays to where not everybody is going to run out and buy it.
You have to think too, once supply does inevitably dwindle down, what are the manufacturers going to start reloading first? It's going to be anything that's got the highest profitability, and that's what you would do as a company. So obviously 22s are going to be bottom of the list because there's not a huge profit margin on 22 ammo. So when it runs out, what's the available supply from all the stores and everything, it'll be a while before it comes back, and you'll of course have everybody price gouging it. But
that sucks. We just got out of that,
and we just got out of that. Yeah, right back into it. Luckily, I think there's still a little bit out on the shelves, but it will eventually dwindle.
It's election year. We just have to see what the turnout of this election year is.
But it's going to be the last thing that they die up to manufacture again. It's going to be 22, and then, like you said, 9mm, 308, 223, all that stuff's going to be top of the list to start.
That's high caliber. That's high demand.
High demand. Profitability might not be per round quite as much, but the volume is there to where it doesn't matter. When you're talking about 0.0 of a cent that they would make off of the 22 round.
Yeah, but that's how your money is made, is in just the
volume,
and that 0.06 cent over volume adds up to be just astronomical.
Yes.
But anyway, I guess we digress. I don't think that it's completely dead, but I do think that it's dying. When we start to see, if 10mm really does take off like it is appearing it to be, with all of these new guns that are being chambered in it and all of these new shooters being introduced, you have the meme best millimeter going around, and that's not without merit. That round is very powerful. We've already said that you can shoot 40 out of it. So I see a very good possibility.
I'd be more apt to buy a 10 before a 40.
You can take large game with a 10mm.
Yeah.
You can defend yourself against a bear with a 10mm. I don't see very many people defending themselves against bear with a 40.
Well, some of us go out in the woods with a crossbow, go bear hunting. Stick, or do you go blunt, Taylor?
There is an anecdotal story of a guide killing a bear with a 9mm. You can look that up, Google that. I don't know why, as a hunting guide, he was carrying a 9mm in bear country.
You can look up the article about the homeless man in California that killed a bear with a stick.
Right.
So,
it's all about your dedication.
Yeah.
How bad do you want that bearskin rug, dang it?
That's pretty bad. You might end up being a human skin rug at the end of that one.
What's your thoughts, Taylor? Would you, if you had two guns sitting on the table, 10 and 40, which one are you going to buy?
Probably, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about 10. That'd just be another caliber I'd have to buy for. 40 would have to be another caliber I'd have to buy for.
I think we're both in that same boat, but I could see myself realistically buying a 10 before, for the same reason that Zach said, because, right now, I take a 357 with me if I'm, as a sidearm. If I go somewhere, I would take a 10. I would feel comfortable and confident.
Would you take a 10 over a 357?
No, probably not.
I don't know which one's more powerful, though.
I'm just
357.
You think so? Is it?
I literally, I think they're like right at neck with 357. I think you can get a little bit hotter rounds for it, and there's also the availability of putting it in a carbine. There's more carbines for 357.
High Point makes a 10mm carbine.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, how many more other carbines?
You're knocking a High Point right there, man?
No, there's only two 10mm carbines, or two or three major distinct models that I can think of right off the top, and that's the High Point. There is a roller delayed blowback version by CMNG, and there is a MechTech Glock conversion that turns your thing into a carbine. There's a handful of 357 Magnum loaded revolvers and rifles out there. There's Ruger makes them, Rossi makes them, off-brand kind of companies make them. Stoger, I think, made some, or maybe not Stoger, but there's a ton of people making lever guns that have it chambered in 357 versus having a 10 millimeter.
You're pretty prepared. You've got your notes over there, Zach. When did 40 really hit the market?
1990.
1990.
90.
So, I mean, you're talking about a big jump, that everything else has on that.
How about 357 SIG? It's something that you don't even hear people talk about.
That's a good point. Now, for the people that don't know, I believe 357 SIG is a 40 Smith & Wesson case neck down to like a 9mm bullet.
Yeah, so you're hotter. But, they push that, and I think a lot of ways they push that is if you have a 40 cal, they push that barrel on you, or they'll throw that barrel in free, or
yes,
something.
That was a big
that was the thing. I know SIG did that for a while. They're like, hey, take our barrel.
You can practice with 40s that you already have. Carry 357 Magnum. 357 SIG is more effective in air quotes. With it can go out further than 40 can. There's benefits to that cartridge.
Rock Island tried the same thing when you would buy
22 TMC.
Exactly, and now that's a cartridge that I actually kind of like. Like, I'm intrigued by that one. I think it's neat. If I stumbled across one where I could get both barrels, the 9mm and the 22 TCM, I'd be all over it.
But the thing
just 'cause
is,
it'd be cool to me.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
But,
it's okay. Control me.
Control me. I'm regretting my decisions, boys. I will control you. No, in that really good article that I broke down,
extra?
Maybe. In that really good article that I did break down, one of the points that he says is that you can have a 40 gun and 9mm barrels are easily available for them, and you can just swap that out. Most 40s were just beefed up 9mm until they finally got a hold of the cartridge. Now, most of your modern 40s are actually built to handle that round, but when they first, like Glock, when they in this article,
you can change the slides on your Glock
Yes.
and go down from a caliber because the polymer frame was designed to hold up to.
Glock beat Smith & Wesson to the punch when the Smith & Wesson 40 caliber came out, because what they did was sort of beef up their version of a 9mm and start selling that to police. But the problem with that is the iconic 40 blowing up meme that everybody makes fun of, and that's because they didn't have a grasp on how much more powerful a 40 is compared to a 9. You can't just beef up a little bit. You gotta start from that round and build the gun around it. You can't just beef up a gun that's already designed and manufactured to take a lower caliber round and just sort of increase the tolerances and hope for the best. And they had to learn that through many, many years.
I think that it was a problem that probably could have been solved with duct tape. I mean, realistically.
Duct tape.
Duct tape, a little bit of super glue, I mean, we can get fancy. We can go Gorilla Tape and all that.
One of the things we were talking about earlier was the 40 and the 10. You can shoot 40 out of 10mm pistols and stuff like that, and it will cycle.
Yes.
You think we're going to see something where the 40 and the 10 kind of morph into the same thing, more or less, eventually? Or
maybe that could be a thing that happens now. That kind of already are with the advent of those things, like what we were talking about before, with a downloaded 10mm being the same thing as a 40.
Right.
I mean, that's basically the same cartridge, and that's why a lot of your guns can shoot that caliber out of it, because they're designed and handled to handle more than that. So there could be a coalescence. If 10mm got popular enough, and it's on the rise, if it got popular enough, you might see a homogenization of those rounds where they kind of go hand in hand, like a 38 and a 357 Magnum do already. Now, will that happen? Only time will tell. How long will the 300 Blackout last? How long will the 350 Legend last? We were talking about the Valkyrie. Will that be a thing in the future? We just don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Valkyrie or 350 Legend. I mean, I kind of consider those boutique rounds because, they kind of diverge from your, kind of like 50 Beowulf in an AR platform. It's a 50 caliber
bolt action
or 50, or an AR. There's some auto but I mean, how long is that going to last? I mean, it's going to be a market for that, but for like the 224 Valkyrie, I mean, what does it have over the 223?
A lot of people just said that 224 is good for nothing but paper.
Right.
Well,
let's say about 6.5 too, Creedmoor.
Yeah, I think the 6.5 caught on to the point to where ammo manufacturers were coming up with some better ideas.
So, what you were talking about as far as 50 Beowulf, I think that's kind of being eclipsed by 458 SOCOM.
Right.
What about 350 Legend too? I mean, you've got a lot of rounds that came on. 40 came on hard. It really did. And then just kind of you don't see it as much anymore. And you got to wonder what other rounds are going to go that same route. And there was I'm sure that a lot of companies put in a lot of load development because they were popular there for a while.
Well, one thing I think about 40 now too is like you got your compact and your subcompact defensive carry Glocks or any kind of handgun.
Your 43s and
well, wouldn't you rather have larger caliber? I don't know. I don't know the ballistics of it. I mean, they would have to be better maybe than 9.
Well, I mean, kind of like Zach said,
you want more bang for your buck and as
they're
little round
snappy.
as possible.
They're snappy, and when you start going, I mean, at least for me, my size hand, when you start going with a subcompact, something like that,
right,
and then you have a snappy round, it really makes it more uncomfortable to shoot then.
From what I understand, and the research that I was doing, reading some of these articles, I've never shot a 40 that's very small. Every 40 that I've ever shot has been at least a compact or full-size gun.
Yeah.
A
So
fairly
shrink
large
that frame down even more, where you've got a pinky grip, on the mag.
Yeah, that's almost unwieldy.
Yeah.
From what they say, I've shot a 45 that was a subcompact 45 and I can't
the
imagine
Kimber
doing
Micro, something like that, in 45. There's a reason why that gun is popular in 9mm.
Right.
Or 380 when you get into the, what is it, the LC line and stuff.
LCPs
Yeah.
and stuff like that. 9mm is sort of like a good litmus test for that kind of thing because it's on the barrier of being
the baseline.
It is the baseline. It's the Toyota Corolla of guns and ammunition as far as handguns go. And there's something weird that happens when you get a little bit beyond like 3.5 inches. The power of a 9mm just goes up like a lot versus going subcompact, but it's a lot more manageable to handle in a smaller size than a 40 is. When a 40, all of the problems of a 40 get astronomically worse the smaller that gun
Oh,
is.
yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So I guess I get what you're saying, and a lot of people do. There's 10 millimeters. There's a 10 millimeter like baby sized Glock, and people buy them, but a lot of people end up selling them because they're just too hard to
It's
handle.
the 357, Dillinger. I mean, in the palm of your hand.
Derringer,
Yeah. It's the 357 Derringer.
Have y'all seen
In the
those
palm of
really
your
weird Bond Arms, gigantic Derringers?
We talked about that, didn't you? Weren't you talking about stopping at their manufacturing facility or
there's
something?
a guy. There's a gun manufacturer in Waco. It's like American.
That's it. Yeah.
American Derringer, and he makes a single shot 4570 Derringer. It's stainless steel. It actually looks really nice. I would get it just for the
shits and giggles.
Like you.
But
shoot.
that's something you'd have to buy different ammo for.
4570. Yeah. I don't think I'd shoot it that much.
Sure, you would.
Like y'all
Poker
shoot-
night, when you catch Zach cheating and hustling cards on you.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
No, that's a damn bear gun right there. That's like if you want to go.
Yeah, that's a pretty big load for 4570. How big is that gun?
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Got him.
I don't know. We'd have to look it up. I was going to stop by their shop. They have a shop in Waco. You can actually.
You didn't stop that day. I know we talked about it, but I didn't know if you actually stopped in.
No. That's for another day.
Zach, what's your thoughts? I mean, do you want one? Do you not want one? Depends on the situation and price point. I mean, where are you at?
I can't ever see myself buying a 40 because I'm of the mindset that I believe that it is dying. Mm-hmm. I believe that in maybe 5 to 10 years, that round will be headed to where the 357 SIG is now and where at least the 10 millimeter was up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
I believe if you're a 40 fanboy and you really want your round to come back in resurgence. Just keep shooting it. Don't let it die.
Yeah.
Because if you let it die and you believe this hype that we're saying, which could all just be conjecture, there could be a study that comes out once all the data is in, because we're humans and we collect data on everything. They might start researching back to where they see 40 had, like I said in the beginning of this little talk, it had one of the best one-stop shots in the category, tying with 357 Magnum, where the police officer shot one time and ended the threat. Whatever threat he or she was facing, that one round ended it. So I don't think that it's a bad round. The whole point that we're making is that, is it enough with modern technology? And I don't think that it is. I think you're going to start to see the homogenization like you're already now. You're seeing the FBI go back to 9mm. You're seeing the police follow suit.
The ammo options are there.
The ammo is cheaper. The you can put more lead down range. And if you're counting grains, 17 140 grain 9mm is more grains going down range than 12 40s is.
And you got to think they're looking, the FBI and everybody else, they're looking at the bottom line.
Yes.
And how many rounds can I get for this much money?
Yes. I mean, that's a whole nother deal of bean counters and things like that going through.
It's the Taylors of the world that penny pinch and just.
Hey, I'm a penny pincher myself. I can't. That's why I shoot 22 all the time. I don't have a lot of money.
I enjoy it, and that's what I actually was talking to Taylor about the other day. Seeing all yours, because I don't have a lot. I mean, I've got a couple of 22 pistols, but that's about it. I was thinking about maybe building a precision 22 rifle to shoot at 300 yards and just have fun with it.
That's kind of a rabbit, but that is a super accurate 22 is becoming
it's catching on. It really is.
Like it's becoming a big deal. There are specialty rounds being made for that where you could, hit the hedge of a quarter at 300 yards. People are getting very into that.
I saw a Ruger 1022 at a shop the other day, $1,200.
Wow.
It was nice, carbon fiber barrel. It was tricked out. So there's obviously a market for it if there's a company going that deep into it.
Well, 1022 and the variants of 1022 can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be.
Right. I mean, you can build the whole gun off aftermarket parts.
Oh yes.
Right. So the other day at the range when we all met up, one of the reasons I selected and carried the guns that I brought was due to the fact that stuff I had a lot of ammo for, and there's a lot of oddball stuff. I don't know if y'all noticed that or not. You know, I brought like the 7.62 by 25 Tokarev. I brought the Tokarev, the CZ 20 or 52. I think I brought the 22 short Beretta.
That was really fun. I would just start to jump in there, but that was a blast.
It's a Beretta 950. So that is like, if you were to consider something a small.
Oh, that's small.
Handgun,
that is definitely
that is a tiny gun. And what's crazy is with an inch barrel. The accuracy.
Oh yeah, at 100 yards.
At 100 yards, at 50 yards.
Yes.
I mean, we were just shooting long range, dicking around
with iron sights.
But at pistol ranges, 15 yards and so. I mean, it's a very consistent, accurate, non-jamming gun, and it's fun to shoot.
There's actually same topic here. Watermelon season, obviously. But I think there's a guy that's got a bunch of watermelons. He stuck a sign that said free on there. I might need to stop and get a bunch and go to the range. I
have a watermelon back in my truck.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, and we could, I don't know, just kind of see some entry and exit holes.
Yeah, that would
a
be
small
pretty
caliber like that. Not nothing that's going to shatter it to go. But like you said, good accuracy at 50 yards with a tiny little gun like that, just to see.
Yeah, what would an inch barrel do out of such a tiny caliber?
Yeah, and the rounds you had, they weren't just 22 short.
Yeah, they were just 22 short. They were actually, believe it or not, Academy several years ago actually had some 22 bullets on clearance, and it was the Aguila, and they're copper plated super shorts is what they're called, but they're just a regular 22 short. I think
Gotcha.
they might be a little higher power 22 short.
They're just nicknamed.
Yeah, the super
Okay.
short. I haven't seen them since. I bought every box that they had because how often do you see 22 shorts for sale?
Yeah, I mean, I have several because I shoot them out of that old Remington rifle that I got, which is pretty fun. I don't know if you've played with
Yes,
that one. Yeah.
one of the first times y'all took me
We had it
out
out
there.
there. Okay.
Right. I think another gun that I brought the other day was the Mossberg 42. It's a 22 caliber bolt action, and like I was telling Zach, it's a very strange gun.
Very interesting.
Very interesting gun. I mean, it's the Swiss Army knife of rifle sights on a gun.
I have never seen that many.
Well, from what I understand, it was made, that model in particular was made between 40 and 44. Some of those were shipped off overseas, like to England to use as training rifles by, I don't know, American, British forces. You can adjust, it had 4 front sights that you can...
At least 4.
It had
That's
a
peep sight,
globe,
yeah.
2 posts, a bead sight.
And a rear peep sight.
The rear had a peep sight, a V-notch, and a square notch. And then it has the rear peep sight. What do you call it?
I don't know. That's what I'd call a peep sight.
It is a peep sight, yeah.
But it had like the traditional, like midway up the gun front sight.
Yeah, your
and then it had
barrel mounted sight.
a barrel mounted
Rear
sight,
sight,
and then
yeah.
it had a rear peep sight
But-
that swung out.
One thing I found out the other day is that peep sight is incomplete.
Really?
And that I have to, if I want to use that peep sight, I'm going to have to order a peep sight offline. So that's going to be in the works. But overall, from what I understand, that gun is capable of one hole groups with irons, and it was very accurate.
Very accurate. We
Yeah.
had that thing tack driving at like 50 yards.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly after we got it out there.
Right.
It wasn't directly on, but I could see where it was shooting, and when I racked the bolt back and I put it in, I was like, okay, I seen where my last round with it was a little right of the target. And I put it was like a small dot circle front iron sight, and I took the edge of that dot on the little target that we had out there, and it just slammed it every time.
Well, next time I bring it, I'll bring a screwdriver so we can adjust the rear sight for...
I might actually have to shoot that one and see how it does.
It's,
Yeah.
Really, it's just cool. There's something about a bolt action that's just awesome.
Well, it's got a 7-round magazine that's detachable, and it's got a screw that actually goes into the front of it, and you can only shoot shorts out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you find that thing at?
I don't recall. I picked it up a couple years ago.
It's been a while. I got you.
I think I got it in a trade. Somebody. I've never really shot it. It was dirty.
It wasn't something you went out with the intent to purchase.
No, it was
just kinda,
something.
you just stumbled
It
across
kind
it
of
kind of
just
thing.
went
I
and
got you.
sat at the back of the safe.
Yeah.
When I got it, it had a dirt dauber's nest in it. It's actually missing. If you look at it, it's got a metal butt plate, and it's supposed to have a trap door where you store an extra magazine.
That's kind of cool.
So I can't find the trap. I want to kind of restore it, but it's hard trying to find a trap door for them. I think that's the most lost item on those guns.
Okay, so not exactly something you jump on new wrench and replace, basically.
No.
Okay.
And the prices on that stuff is looking pretty high compared to the magazine that you
Yeah, an extra mag is $42, but it's
Ooh.
for a 22 mag. That's crazy.
Yeah.
On a
These
Mossberg.
These are collectible.
Yeah.
But these are. I'm gonna get a rear peep sight for it, and we'll do some more playing.
Now, I
around.
didn't see
little
any
more
kind of
testing,
rail or
R&D.
anything for an optic.
There is.
There is.
There is not a rail. There is it's a side mount scope, and somebody makes an aftermarket side mount scope for that gun.
Dude, that would be so.
Yeah, it would.
I've got a roll of duct tape. Call me Gunsmith.
Goldsmith.
Oh man.
You don't even picture
it's
that.
It's just a weird because it's got a bolt. It's got a action cover built into the bolt. It's It's interesting.
It is a very.
I could just remove the rear peep and put a scope on it, and
If you could get that mount, that would be
Honestly,
super
I
sick.
mean, yeah, a
I don't
side
know.
mount would be okay. I really like the iron sight
I do too.
fact of it. I mean, that's just.
I've found myself.
I have an optic fetish. That's just me.
Well, I have found myself actually moving back from optics and going back and just using iron sights, peep sights. There's peep sights to me are like the manual vehicles, but like you can get a scope mount, but I'd rather not have a scope mount on it because I would rather be proficient or just rather challenge myself with the peep sights or with the iron sights. I mean, I could, if you did put a scope on it, it would probably be a very nice shooting tight group gun.
I feel like both of us, though, are pretty proficient with iron sights, on guns that aren't necessarily well known for accuracy and not the best ammo by any means, but can still hit a 12-inch silhouette at 225 yards with iron sights consistently.
Like your M1 carbine.
Oh, yeah. 4-inch Smith & Wesson 357. I mean,
that's just us playing around at the range, seeing what we can do, wasting ammo.
How far can we push this?
What I really enjoyed was when me and Zach were there the other day before you got there.
I bet you did.
It was I have a Rossi Winchester 92 pattern 357 lever action, and it's got like the, can't you call them buckhorn sights? It's got a bead front sight and the rear sight's that buckhorn. I hate shooting those.
I bought a Henry Frontier 22 long rifle. I ended up getting rid of it because it had those buckhorn sights.
Right.
And I hated them.
But the thing is we were loading up, I think it was MagTech 350 or no 38 special, and they were 158 grain, just lead bullets, 200 yards hitting that silhouette, or 225. I don't know where that's a 225.
It's right at 200 yards.
It's right at 200. That silhouette we were shooting at.
Yeah, well, 200 is really further to the right. It ranges from 2 to 225 right in there. But like you were saying, peep sights, iron sights with a 38 special.
Okay, now granted that I had the adjustments for that rear sight. It was something. I think we had it all the way up.
Oh yeah, it was stretching. And when we were talking about lobbing 300 blackout the other day, we're talking about lobbing.
Well, it was lobbing 38 special,
but it was doing consistently.
It would shoot consistently, and it was fun. It was fun. We went to have a fun time, and that's why that's what we're doing. We're just having fun, fucking around, shooting stuff, and seeing how far we could actually shoot it.
I compare that almost. You said the blackout, but when I switched from supersonic to subsonic blackout, shot at placement at 200 yards, dropped off at 40 yards probably, if not more.
How many people sit there and try to shoot a silhouette target 200 yards with a 350 or 38 special?
Yeah.
Out of a 16 inch, it's fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
You would shoot it. You would shoot and literally probably a second or a second and a half.
You could literally hear it
before you would hear the ping.
Yes.
And it would actually hit the target. It was fun.
It was very fun. It was cool.
That was fun. That's something that I really enjoyed.
I think Zach missed it though when we put the pound of tannerite out there and shot it with the 7 mag and had the neighbors texting it.
Yeah, I had to leave on that day.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I have a wife and we had to go to our anniversary dinner. So
it was a nice anniversary dinner.
It was, and I very appreciate that. There's
definitely some sucking up there going on. You can hear it in his voice.
Only every now and then when I have to. When I got behind that thing, I was
That's what she said.
Oh, got him. But when I got behind that thing, I was like, bro, these sights are covering up the target at 50 yards. And you just looked at me and said, believe.
Yeah, you gotta believe, man. You talking about the lever action, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And did you hit your target?
Yes, I did.
So you believe?
I did believe. I had faith in our Lord and Savior John Browning, and I pray to him every night.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. So, are you gonna go ahead and get that Yeet Cannon trank stamp that we discussed?
Yes, I want to get Yeet Cannon right there on the tips.
Mm-hmm.
Right there on the back.
Arch it or straight?
Well, Yeet and Cannon right there.
Okay.
Arch over, kind of like going in an arch would be pretty good. Maybe a half moon circle.
Okay.
Right above my tasty ass.
Wow. I was thinking like maybe some shells and like you have an empty shell casing going down the crack.
Right down the crack. I'm feeling it.
Thought.
You're a thought.
What's wrong, Taylor?
Nothing. Let's get back on what we were talking about. Oh.
It always turns sexual, Gimp Pimp.
I know.
Anyway, boys.
Gimp Pimp.
So, all right. Coming down off of that, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Do you have a dream gun? Is there something that without money, without monetary, we're just going to pretend like it doesn't cost any money? You can have whatever you want. The sky's the limit from any time period, from any manufacturer, or any time. You can do whatever you want. Is there something that you, if you had it, if you had the capital, would you get it, and what would it be? So, take it away.
Anything. Right?
Anything. This is a dream gun. It could be something that's made today. It could have been something that was made back in the day. It could be something of historical relevance.
I think historic-wise, that's definitely Taylor's department. Would love a 50 BMG, something like that. I'd also wouldn't mind having maybe like a rocket launcher of some sort, but
a rocket launcher.
Yeah, why not? Launcher. Right?
Rocket rockets.
Yeah. I mean, shit, come on now.
I mean, that would be really cool.
Go out to the range and set up an old Tahoe or something up on top of the hill and just blast it.
You can get the ones that, like the RPGs that don't have an explosive head.
Yeah, no, I won't
things like that.
Head.
But,
yeah.
I mean, they're just to facilitate your at least shooting of
They want the ICBM, man.
Oh, yeah, well, if they followed the Constitution, everybody would have an ICBM.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I'm pretty simple. I really do want an FNFAL, and I think that's going to be my next go after, realistically, from it, because the AR-10 just isn't doing it for me right now at all.
You had mentioned on the last episode that the soft points were really a big drawback. Can the FAL
it's just not
shoot?
soft points either.
It's not. That thing, I'm just not impressed at the moment with it. Yeah, it's going to be on my shit list and go.
So we've gone downhill.
Oh, it went downhill after it took
more. I think
20 rounds and it got a little less fun.
See, part of the problem with this podcast is it's bringing up demons.
I don't think I'm not thinking about selling it.
Oh, you're gonna.
I've already took the scope off of it. I'll put it like that. Yeah, it's
on the market. It's going out.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that FAL have the same problem with the AR-10 when it comes to soft points?
Well, Taylor, you got 3 of them. You're more versed in that part of it.
No, I've shot it with soft points. Mm-hmm. I've never heard
you don't have that steep, feed ramp.
Right. One thing I will say about it, FAL, what do you want to call it? It's not a target gun. Like your AR-10 has the bull barrel on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long barrel target rifle.
Yeah.
This is a battle rifle. This is,
iron sights, 225 yards.
Yeah, so it's a good shooting gun. It's a reliable shooting gun. It's not the most accurate.
You have an optic on one, don't you?
I have a red dot.
Yeah, and like I said, I like it. You've got an adjustable gas system on it.
Yeah.
Which is really nice,
right.
Especially if you're trying to run suppressed,
Well, the thing about running suppressed is you're actually going to have to get a different gas valve. Mm-hmm. Weld the hole up and then drill out another hole. It's a process. The adjustable gas systems for like the variety of ammo, how dirty your gun is. Yeah. You can open it up.
But anyway, so that's going to be your dream gun is a new FAL or new FAL.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
yeah, he's been kind of
like realistically, and Taylor's really got me amped up on one. So my next purchase, that's going to be.
Now, do you want to do a kit build, you? Okay, you can get a kit build, get like one like an Imbel. A Brazilian Imbel is real common to find. Mm-hmm. There's also and you can find them with the original barrels like I have. Mm-hmm. The Israeli kits are out there. I mean, then the more scarcer kits are like the Argentine or the Austrian, or then you can go like to the LA ones, like the British or the Australian type guns. I mean, they're out there. I think over 80 countries adopted the FAL. There's even an Indian-made one.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know much about them, but DSA, they're a company here in the United States. They actually bought all the Steyr equipment, manufacturing equipment. So all their FALs are made to Steyr specification. Well, there's metric FAL, but they're made on Steyr machinery. So
good quality.
Yeah, I mean they're even exporting still FALs, select fire FALs to Africa. They're very popular in Africa. I think they're popular with like their game
Child soldiers.
Not no, like the game preserve rangers and stuff like that. People
like
are
a
that,
scout rifle type.
right? But also too, you want that for the long engagement distance.
Yeah.
Also for the ability to shoot through brush more effectively and
quickly and for your own personal protection out there.
Right,
I can do
right.
that, yeah. I definitely, like I said, I want a foul. I'm gonna have to look into it a little bit more.
DSA, yeah, they have some really quality stuff. They even have pistol versions.
Your latest one is what, all Israeli, correct?
No, actually, it's an Israeli kit. DSA actually makes the barrel and the receiver. The receiver is correctly marked with the Israeli markings, and then the barrel is the correct early style barrel for that kit.
Gotcha.
And then I had it built, and my gunsmith, he actually, it's a battle worn, very, very worn gun.
Mm-hmm.
He actually matched the receiver and the barrel to the rest of the parts, and it looks very nice.
Yeah. Well, I got that AK from you that's got the
Trench art.
trench art.
Yes, that's the Romanian. Yeah.
And I'm really I enjoy that gun. I like that gun. I think that's what's drawing me more and more to maybe
Right.
get the kit and build it back.
That is a lot of character. That's really
It
cool.
is
It's one of a kind. Like
Yeah.
when you see that, you know that that's nobody else's AK. You know it's very identifiable.
Point the bullet this way.
Yes,
It's really weird. It's
I
like
think that's what it says, but
I don't know. Yeah, and there's some really cool trench art out there. That's just the one that I had, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna give it to you because I think you'll enjoy this. I'm trying to turn you on to the worn out shit instead of the pristine, nice,
shiny new
Oh,
$2,000.
I mean, if you just look up AK trench art, I mean, there is some elaborate stuff. I mean, wood carvings. I mean, there's even like people have like stickers of Tupac that have been shellacked over. I mean, some awesome shit. Or Ice Cube, or Naked Women, or one of the things popular in the Middle East is packy tape on the stuff. It's just some kind of green tape. But yeah, that's. What else did we bring? I brought, like I said, I brought the Tokarev, the Yugo.
Yeah, and I like both of those, and I think we touched on it last time. I'm ready for a Tokarev.
And the CZ, and that's
Haven't
a bottle.
pulled the trigger for
That's a
whatever reason,
bottleneck
but
cartridge.
It is.
What did you think about shooting the Tokarev or the CZ52? What did you think about them?
Well, the other day when I shot this is looping back around to our range time that we had the other day. I liked it. I had never shot a Tokarev before.
Right.
It had a lot of blast to it. Even when you were standing next to me, you were like, "Good God, that thing seems like a very high pressure round."
It is. It's a high velocity round.
And but for the most part, it seems very accurate. I even had in my notes, I need some more pistol time. I am not very proficient with pistols, and I noticed that shooting the plethora of pistols that we had the other day. I liked the Glock, and I tend towards the 9mm because I can shoot them more accurately than the other guns.
Which, what would you say you I know you said you like the Glock, but which one do you think was more apt to you?
Oh, I love the CZ.
Really?
That
More than the
CZ,
Brit.
yes.
That was the Shadow.
The
The
CZ
Shadow,
Shadow.
yeah.
That gun just spoke to me
Yes.
in ways that I did not know. I did not like the slide being so low, but I feel
They're thin.
like
They are.
It has the rails are actually on the slide itself.
yes.
It's a fun gun. It's a nice gun. It's not one you would ever carry. 'Cause, I mean, it's heavy.
Now
It's
I do
very
have
heavy.
I do have the CZ75 compact
Yes.
that he hasn't shot,
And
and then I
that
have the CZ97, which is the 45
version.
version.
Quite nice too.
It is. It's very nice to shoot.
Now there's a newer CZ that they've come out with that's really competing with the MMP 2.0 full size guns and the new Glocks and stuff like that. I'm not really certain on what
Polymer,
they
yeah.
Polymer.
It's supposed to be like one of the top 3 carry guns right now is the MMP 2.0, the new Glock 19X or whatever.
Right.
This might actually be from like 2 years ago. They were actually come out with some newer guns that kind of bridge the gap between carry gun and subcompact gun that are like going from double stack to single stack that are getting like into the 12 count range that are, that's what I've seen. That's the newest new. But there is a CZ that is in that category. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I might be more
PO7 or
interested.
something like that, right?
Two,
PO7.
Is that
the
it?
PO7 compact or
So,
PO7 duty.
Not to sound like a CZ fan with it. I mean, they really do make some good quality. firearms. We both, Taylor and I both have rifles. I mean, two totally different CZ rifles, but that preset trigger that they come with.
No, I love that.
They make quality firearms. And then you got like the CZ Scorpion or the Brand.
Yeah.
A lot of people like those. They're like little pistol caliber carbines or pistols they make. But to me, a CZ75, it's a full metal gun. You actually feel like you're holding something.
You've got something in your hand.
But it's kind of like the Wonder Nines, I prefer to shoot just the way they feel.
Yeah,
they're comfortable to shoot.
The Shadow 2, it definitely fits your hand. It's grippy.
It was just very comfortable.
So another one that I shot my brother-in-law got is the CZ Omega, and that is like a CZ75 tactical.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a compact.
You get the rail. You can get the threaded barrel, suppressor night sight. It's got some serious perks.
And there's a gun that you got to shoot the other evening after Sean left the range the other day. It was the Kel-Tec 22.
Oh yes.
What is that? The
P17.
The P7. Yes.
That's it was cheap.
It's for like a sub $200 22 that will feed almost any 22 bullet. It comes with 3 mags. It's threaded. It has RMR cuts already in it to mount an optic.
Felt like a toy.
Yeah, the mags were lightweight. They felt like airsoft mags.
It felt literally like I've held toys that weighed more than that.
If I can get one, I'm going to buy one because that looks I mean, you shot it. I didn't shoot it. I just looked at it.
You should also look into Taurus, and I have some bad experience with Taurus, but the new Taurus 22 that just came out like this year has a great reviews. It's a similar concept, 17 round mags, threaded barrel, looks a bit more modern, like a modern handgun. The Kel-Tec kind of looks like a stamped sheet metal airsoft gun, and it feels like it, but it did run.
Yeah,
it did run. So I can't say anything. I own a Kel-Tec.
I like Taurus. I like older Tauruses.
Right.
I've had several of their revolvers. The revolvers aren't bad. One of the Tauruses I actually have kept is a Taurus. It's a PT-58, which has been discontinued, but it is a 380. Basically a Beretta 92, but a 380, and it's a full size 12 round double stack 380, and it shoots very, very nice.
I like to shoot that. I really like. I like the new 380s from Smith & Wesson that are their performance center with the They look wicked, and for it being a 380, they look really wicked. Mm-hmm. They have like the colors, the gold barrel, gold serrations, and stuff like that. The name escapes me right now, but there are a performance center 380 that they're actually bringing into a 9mm. That's stepping up their game.
But talking about Smith & Wesson, Sean brought his 586, which is the blued. Was a 6-inch barrel, 350?
4-inch. Yeah.
4-inch. That's a sweet shooting.
It shoots very good. I mean, I'd put that one, right up there with the GP 100 that I've got.
Right.
They're both really fun. I just like the balance of the 4-inch, and you can still reach out there pretty consistently and far with some cheap steel cased ammo.
We ought to have a discussion about not this time, but as far as going like ammunition types and things like that, that might be a kick down.
Yeah, but if it don't shoot it, if it can't handle the steel,
it's not gonna handle. It don't gonna get the brass. Yeah,
there's the
especially right now.
With availability and price.
That's what's been so hard about wanting to go to the range. Is just
Do you want to go dump all your 223?
No, I do not.
Yeah. It's bad enough you got people going to your house during the day and, emptying your garage out. Wasn't me.
That's my story. So, anyway, touching back on to our final thing, Taylor, do you have a dream gun?
Yes. I would love to find a World War I model 1911, just like the original 1911. I've actually seen some. I've seen one time, and it was right fresh out of the package. It had been refurbished in the 20s, and it was like the Parker I think it turned green. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it was nice though. Some kind of 1911. I don't have a 1911 yet. I'd like to get one. I'd like to get an original Colt 1911 if I can.
Yeah, well.
I look at some. I think I sent you some the other night.
Yeah.
There were some
15,000.
15,000.
He was sending us some really nice stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That single shot Curio relic thing that you sent me the other day.
Yeah, there was like
insane
$30,000. Yeah, you know, and I've kind of felt some of my dream gun holes. You know, I got a Luger finally. I found a really nice shooting, decent Luger. It was a commercial Luger that somehow or another, after World War II, it was ended up in East Germany. It got rebarreled with a brand new barrel. They redid it, reblued all the parts, and it was actually issued to the Stasi. So it's a Stasi police Luger. They're not as collectible as, I mean, it's an original Luger. It was refurbished by people that had
in the correct time.
Who had made and manufactured Lugers. It's all matching. It's East German Luger, but it was an original DWM Luger, which it's a good shooter. I paid sub $1,000 for it. I think I paid around $9,000, but with 2 matching mags and like basically a brand new barrel on it, you can't beat it.
That's actually a great.
And that's something I don't think you've shot that either.
I have not.
We're gonna have to bring it
I
out.
think I've seen it. I haven't shot it.
I've shot it.
Yeah, it's an interesting gun to shoot. It's fun. I did bring some of my P38s out the other day.
Yes, it was the first time I ever shot a P38, and I liked it. I liked that gun. That was a pretty interesting gun to shoot. Kind of bulky and
it is
blocky.
It's a bulky, blocky gun, and what's crazy to me, it holds 8 rounds.
For it being so big.
And then you go to something to like the Glock 43 that holds 2 less rounds, smaller, lighter, and you know that's just crazy how the technology changed.
What about you, Zach? What's yours? What's your dream gun?
Well, of course I've got to be weird and strange, and
it's not the biggest and baddest on the block.
Oh no,
it's 22 caliber.
It is 22 caliber.
Oh man, okay.
Well, you know, part of my function of Taylor buying that little Badger was to kind of fill this niche that I want, which is something that's you can fit inside a backpack, and you want to go hiking, and you already have it with you, and you can fold it up and put it in there. And I like the little Badger, and I've done a cool job modifying that little Badger.
You're doing a great job with it.
But the problem with the little Badger is it is a single shot rifle.
Right.
And they do make a bolt action single shot, the Keystone 22 pistols. They're the Keystone rifles that the little kids shoot, but they make a pistol version of that, and then they make a chassis for that gun that you can put in. You know, it'll be kind of what I want, but it doesn't have a magazine. So I'm looking for, and it doesn't exist yet. They did make the Savage Strikers in 22 long rifle, but that's has the bolt on the left hand side, and I'm right-handed. Not that I would complain, but getting back to that Keystone, it's still a single shot, and there's no way to put a magazine on it without heavy modification.
Have you seen the, I guess you'd call it the tactical sniper version of the Cricket rifle?
Yeah.
It's got a thumb hold stock.
Yes.
It's, you know,
Yeah, it's
yay
itty
long
bitty.
or
Yeah.
so. Maybe that's what you need.
Well, they make the mini Mosin too.
I've seen it, yeah, the identical replica.
Yeah.
And I think they have the same for a M1 carbine.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I have there's always been some 22 copies of the M1 carbine. I think
I've seen those.
I have one.
You can get a Ruger stock with it.
Right.
Yeah, get very similar.
I have a Marlin. That's basically it's a tube. It's like a Marlin Model 60, but it looks just like an M1 carbine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's one of my granddaddy's guns.
So it's not for sale.
No.
I hope not.
Another thing, you were talking about a bolt action 22
Yes,
pistol.
so it would be like I want a manufacturer like Ruger or Savage to make a bolt action either SBR, but nowadays it would probably be a 22 pistol with the ability to take AR furniture like the brace, stocks, like maybe a 4-end like an AR, like you could take it off and like compatible with an AR, free float handguard, or like you see I don't know if y'all seen the pork sword. Have y'all seen the pork sword?
It's a Remington 700 and 300 blackout.
Or 308.
Or 308. It's like a 12-inch barrel on a chassis.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a pistol built off the 700 frame that shoots 308, 300 blackout, like Taylor said.
When you were actually talking about the pistol, the bolt action pistol 22, why don't you call and see if you can buy a Virgin receiver?
That's something that I might want to do. I've thought about doing that. I don't know how far down the road I can get.
You know, I haven't really taken it out, but I've got that XP 100 in 221 Fireball.
Right.
And, you know, as far as bolt action goes, I don't ever go shoot it.
It's a barrel burner, too.
It doesn't, yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't really do anything for me, and if I shoot it, it's just going to tear it up. So, it sits.
Right. That's more of a novelty.
Yeah.
I want this to be able to, like, use it as my main gun, because I love my Ruger Charger. But it's not quiet with the suppressor on it. It's not going to the bolt coming back.
Anything that opens
I want
up,
a manual action, and I want a bolt action with a threaded barrel, probably 7 to 10 inches threaded barrel that accepts commonly available magazines like the Ruger box mags or a Savage mag or a Mossberg magazine or something like that. That, you know, you were mentioning the kid rifles, but I'm an adult. I want something that's either adjustable or at least partially full size.
Think about this. So Ruger has their M77 357 rifles. That would be a great backpacking gun if you were to have a chassis system and have maybe a lightweight and maybe have a 10-inch barrel that's threaded, because you can use a 9mm suppressor on a 357, I believe. Or so, you know, have a chassis system with a brace.
That would be really cool.
That would be very cool. That would be a good backpacking gun.
Yes.
And a good caliber.
And a good caliber.
Powerful caliber.
And a powerful caliber, right.
And you're getting enough barrel length at about 7 to 10 inches that you're almost at rifle. But I want that because it would be a compact size with a manual action that you could get like a folding brace for and put it in a backpack, and then be able to put an optic on it with a commonly available magazine. That would fill every niche that I could have. I've always wanted a bolt action SBR, and that's my favorite SBR. That's my favorite caliber, and that would be every niche I could ever fill. I love bolt action. I want to suppress it. It fits in a backpack. Common mags, you know, that whole thing. And then I want to get maybe like some sort of bolt action legit SBR. Like,
I was going to say, they're really gaining popularity. I mean, you're seeing more and more SBRs, and you're seeing them, like you said, in bolt action, because more and more people are putting a suppressor on them, and, you know, you're not going to get that same quiet, you know, that you're going to get with a bolt action on any kind of semi-auto. So you're seeing a lot more people form one and just, you know, SBR something.
I just think they look so sick. If you Google bolt action SBRs, the whole thing just turns me on. I just love
the blackout pistol build I did was, you know, I just didn't want to spend an extra $200. You know, that's $200 I can spend on a better trigger or something like that. You know, so just do the tail hook and be done with it. But it's a good gun. It's got a good trigger.
Like my
8.5.
My suppressor gun, that Remington Model 7308. Accuracy International mag conversion to it.
Yep.
It's got an 18-inch barrel 16-inch barrel that's threaded. That's my suppressor gun.
I would say, I know you've already, you know, did that mag changeover on it. You know, I've got the Boyd stock on my Model 7. That adds a lot to it. I would say. I know you like your lightweight.
Yeah, this is all for lightweight. Yeah.
Man, that stock is.
But I don't know. I've written to Ruger. I've written to Savage and asked, because if they don't know what we want, and I might be the lone wolf out here wanting that particular gun. I feel like as the years go on, you're starting to see people realize pistols are where we're at right now, and I'm hoping that they come out with an American rimfire that's a pistol that takes a brace. That would take everything I needed.
But how about your Ruger Charger build? I mean, that's a backpacking gun.
It is, but it's semi-automatic.
And you want a bolt.
I want a bolt to make it as quiet as possible.
And you want a little more oomph?
Yes. Well, the problem with the semi-automatic is things like the Aguila Super Shorts and things like that, they get stuck in the bolt. You're relying on inertia to kick that blowback out and feed that gun reliably. When you have a manual action, that takes that equation out of it, and it makes it quieter. With it, you can get different loads and different things that you can use that I want. Huge loads. Just thick, huge loads. Anyway, guys, is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we wrap this whole thing up?
Do we have any crazy conspiracies that anybody wants to bring up today?
Anybody hear about the Wayfair?
Yeah, that's the one that's going around right now.
I haven't heard. What is it?
So,
you're about to hear.
Wayfair is like a.
Well, I know what Wayfair is.
I guess you buy
Wayfair.
Yeah,
it's an app on my phone that tries to make me buy shit.
But it's like home furnishings and shit. It's like.
Well, they've involved Amazon with this now too.
Okay, I didn't heard, but see, Wayfair. This is I've been looking at. It's like there's these industrial industrial metal cabinets.
Okay.
And it's the same.
I did see something about this. They're outrageously priced, and they think there's people in it.
No, okay. So
I saw a little.
I don't think there's people. I think this is what I think there is. So you have this fucking industrial cabinet, like something you'd find in a garage or a shop, and their names are women's names.
Yes.
And they're like for $15,000-$20,000 for these fucking cabinets. And then these names correlate with missing children, teenage girls, and shit. So everybody's like, "What the fuck is this about?" And the thing is that you'll have the same fucking cabinet as a picture with a different girl's name. So this kind of fills it. I think you buy the fucking cabinet and then you got to initiate something else to, some kind of fucking conspiracy that they're human trafficking over the internet.
Gotcha. Not that they're necessarily in the cabinet, but you just bought a person online, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they're in the fucking cabinet. I think you got to initiate something else. I think it's more fucking money, because I don't think a person's $15,000. I don't know how much.
I haven't bought anyone lately. I'm not familiar with what the going rate is,
right?
So I can't speak on that.
Right.
Allegedly.
So it's just weird fucking thing, and Wayfair's like. They asked them, they're like, "Oh no, we're not trafficking people." Yeah, of course they're gonna say they're not. It's just weird. It's weird. Why the fuck do you have the same fucking cabinet with different fucking?
It just raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, with missing women and children, and
well, not just for you. Apparently, it raises questions for a lot of people because everybody's looking at me like, "What?
Right.
How have you not heard of this?"
Yeah.
So
it's just the conspiracy theory of the hour.
Gotcha.
It's probably filling in with the whole Epstein thing that's going on right now.
Who's that?
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Oh no, I've heard about the whole Britney Spears control.
See, now that I did see.
Yeah, she's like her dad, her fiance, or whoever he is, controls every aspect of her life.
Whoa.
And she's basically a prisoner.
She just released this video the other day that was really weird. My coworker showed it to me today of her dancing in front of the camera, and it's just a little off.
Yeah, well, Britney's always been a little off.
Yeah, it's a little more off than normal. I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, she shaved her fucking head in 2008, so, I mean...
One day, I'll watch Tiger King also, so I can join the club.
You watched Tiger King finally?
No, I will one day, eventually, maybe.
Oh
Possibly.
For anybody that hasn't watched Tiger King, what are you doing with
Man, that was the fun part of the fucking whole pandemic was Tiger King, a fucking check.
Okay, well, you know
and
what?
now we're in the fucking shitty part.
I didn't get to take off work and sit at home and Netflix like everybody else.
But we got to watch Tiger King. We got a fucking check, and now we're sitting around having to wear masks every fucking where, and it's just not fucking fun anymore. So,
Alyssa, you want to chime in? I feel like there's something you want to say, so let's throw it out there.
I'm just laughing my ass off.
I mean,
he said it's just not fun anymore. We're having to wear masks.
I mean, that was the fun part of the fucking. I mean, it was.
Look, I get it. You got kicked out of Chipotle, and you're still a little sensitive about it.
Oh yeah,
but
that's an interesting story in
Why'd
itself.
you get?
Well, I got kicked out of Chipotle. Me and Taylor did.
Why'd you get kicked out of Chipotle?
He didn't wear his mask.
Me and Taylor walked in, and we're standing in line, and there's all these people in there eating, no fucking mask.
Taylor's wife's name is Taylor also, just so
his and his wife's name are both Taylor.
We were driving my Jeep, and we didn't have our mask or anything in there. And this dude that works there, I guess they're all wearing, like, their outfits are black, with black apron and shit. He had a black mask on. This motherfucker comes up to us with this crusty. His mask is crusty. It has like food on it, and he's like, you need to wear a mask. I was like, I have a medical condition. I can't wear a mask. Well, you need a face cover. And I'm like, I looked at Taylor, and she's like, looked at me, and I'm still standing in line. He's like, we can't serve you food. And I was just like, man. I looked at her, and she got mad at me because she knew I was about to say. I said, there's people out there eating. Well, he's like, well, we can't serve you. I said, you know what? I looked at her. I said, fuck this motherfucker. And we walked out, went down the road to IHOP, and they were happy to fucking see me.
Did you get the never-ending pancakes?
No, I got a fucking omelet.
Well, that's a little disappointing. I mean, pancakes make people happy, and I feel like you could have
The thing is about the mask is that these people are walking around wearing the same fucking mask every day. They say, oh, well, doctors wear masks. Well, they don't wear the same goddamn mask.
This is true.
You know, everybody's wearing the same crusty fucking mask that they've been wearing. They're sweaty, they're nasty. It's just gross.
Right.
Well, I said we weren't going to get political, and we crossed
that. Ain't political.
It's political. I feel like, he just has a...
No, I'm not saying Taylor.
Well, I'm going to say I hope Greg Abbott's fucking wheels fall off his wheelchair.
Oh, God.
Because he's acting more like a fucking Democrat than
And we're not being political. We're being controlled because, Zach wants to control us.
I don't like... I don't like...
I'm not controlling you. You can talk about whatever you want.
No.
I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm done. Just fuck the mask.
Yeah, I don't. As far as the masks go, if a private business asks me to wear a mask, I will do it.
If I need to be in that business bad.
If I need to do that or whatever. But if you're preventing anything, as far as I'm concerned, you're not really preventing a whole lot. I mean, we're dealing with microbes here, and a cloth mask is not going to stop that. I think people are being a little hyperbolic as far as it goes. We all need to take a fucking chill pill. But at the same time...
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
Well, I was just looking, Sean. I was just looking, Sean. It's okay. What, you feeling a certain type of way?
Apparently. Gee, I'm so very judgy. You're very judgy today.
Judgy. No, I don't agree with Greg Abbott doing that. And I don't... we're gun owners here. Everybody feels about the same way about having mandatory compulsory things shoved down your throat. And
sorry,
things.
He said it.
Is that what I'm getting for Christmas, Santa?
Something.
Yes.
No, you're good, little boy. Forcibly shoved down his throat.
Well,
his euphemisms are
that
all
was his words.
Bad.
I'm just saying his words.
Well, it's been great. It's been fun.
Well, everybody, I think we're going to end on that note.
I think there's some editing to do.
I don't know. I love it. I love that part of it anyway.
Right?
Okay. Well.
So anyway, guys, try and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, and that was the Three Guys One Bullet podcast.
And we have a Reddit thread.
Yeah, we might end up having a Reddit thread for too long.
Yes, and a 4chan poster.
Guys, send us your hate mail at 3g1b.pc@gmail.com. That was the Three Guys One Bullet podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Big Santa.
Young Santa.
Young Santa.
Y'all guys have a great day.
Oh. So, do I need to make the next clip art for our picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do it big.
That was funny. Oh, you guys are just...
You want to go look at an Indian massacre?
Yes.
Of course.